Welcome. Today's class is going to be close to the ground and we're going to be tending to our hip flexors. So lower back pain is a thing for most of us, and there are many roots to the cause behind the symptom of lower back pain, like many. But oftentimes we treat the symptom, so our back hurts, we'll put heat on it, or we'll stick a lacrosse ball in it, or we'll go for a massage, and all of these things are great. It's great to tend to your pain in the moment, but it's also good to inquire like where it's coming from and why it's happening. So one big one that people often don't know about is tightness in the hip flexors often results in tightness in the lower back. And the big reason for that is because one of our major hip flexors, one of the ones that moves us around a lot, is deeply connected to our spine, and literally connected to our spine. So the psoas attaches from like our upper leg here and goes in and attaches to our lower vertebrae like a fan. So it literally goes from our leg to our spine. So not only does it flex the hip, it'll flex our trunk, and if it's tight, it'll pull us forward and it'll start to stress all the muscles of the lower back. So we're gonna work today to lengthen those muscles, and also we're gonna do some stuff just to kind of come to know them so that we're aware of when they're efforting, when they don't need to be efforting, so we can consciously relax them and consciously engage them when we need them, because sometimes we need them. But often, like when we're in a sitting position or even when we're stressed, these muscles will contract. It's just a part of our automatic response. It's our brain doing its job. So we're gonna try to pick up a little bit more control over these muscles so that they don't cause all this drama in our lower back area. So we're gonna start with a somatic technique to undo the hip flexors and just to become a little bit more familiar with them. So for today's practice, before we get moving, before we get too cozy, I would recommend having for sure a blanket. If you have a bolster, grab it, and if you don't, grab a pillow or two. You can also just roll up your blanket into something like a bolster for later in the class. So we're gonna start on our backs and get really comfortable. So I'd recommend soles of your feet wide, knees fall together, lay your hands on your body, anywhere that feels nurturing and comforting. And you don't need to know the exact anatomy of your hip flexor muscles to know where you hold tightness in your body. You don't even need to know exactly how the hip flexor functions to understand how to communicate with it and to consciously release it. Right now, just bring your mind's eye to the general area of your hip flexors, so kind of where your two front pockets would be on a pair of jeans. And then find your lowest vertebrae, so the lowest part of your back. It's probably not making contact with the ground right now. You'll feel the back of your pelvis heavy to the ground. And then there's a little pocket of air between the back of your pelvis and your thoracic spine, so your middle back. That little space between is where your lumbar vertebrae live. And they're designed in a little bit of a back bend. And when our hip flexors are tight, it often amplifies that back bend, which compresses these muscles, makes them really tight, and can also even start to compress into our kidney band and just cause a lot of tension and restriction in this area. So mind's eye is on our front two pockets, little pocket of air underneath of our lower back. And then see if you can start to bring your breath right here. So as your breath moves in and down into your lungs, the belly expands not just forward and up, but see if you can expand your belly or your abdominals backwards into the low of your back. And with the exhale, let that space stay soft and allow your breath to pour out of you. And keep breathing like this. And like I said, these muscles are deep. The hip flexors are some of our deepest muscles. They're deep to our organs, they're deep to our abdominals, they're deep to everything around our belly. So it's hard for us to reach them often with stretch, with massage, even with our lacrosse balls. But we can reach them quite generously with deep breaths. There's a muscle called the diaphragm that's also deep in our abdominal cavity. And every time we breathe in, this muscle contracts and moves down, and it scrapes the surface of our lower back where these deep hip flexors live. And as it does that, it nudges upon the musculotendinous attachment sites of the muscles and the bones. And when that happens, it sends a nervous system response, so through our muscles to our nervous system, reminding these tissues to relax. And that's a really oversimplified way of explaining it, but it's what happens when the tendinous junctions of our muscles get a little nudge, a little love tap. There's a response to release, even just a little bit. So right now, we'll get moving in a minute, but right now know that it's really valuable just to consciously bring your mind's eye to the tension and the tightness of these areas, even if you don't know exactly what it looks like. And then to bring your attention to deep belly breaths. So try to breathe into the abdomen consciously. Let go of any restriction across your belly. And really allow it to rise and fall. Good. So gently, slowly, bring your hands to interlace at the base of your skull. And then lounge the weight of your head into your hands, let your upper back go nice and wide. And then flatten your feet and point your knees straight up towards the ceiling. So rather than feet wide and knees in, crawl your feet in so that your feet are more parallel. So through the somatic technique, there's many steps. So I'll try to be very clear with my words, but feel free to stop, look up, rewind, see you get it. We're going to start on the left side so that you can have a really clear visual. And this first move looks like a bicycle crunch, but I promise it's not. What I want you to think about is when you're doing, abdominal work, and sometimes it feels like your hip flexors are doing everything, and you start to get a cramp in your front pockets. I want you to create that sensation with this next movement. So take a deep breath in. And then as you exhale, lift your head a touch, bring your right elbow across your body to your left knee. And relax your neck, keep that out of the equation, but press your elbow to your knee, press your knee to your elbow until your hip flexor contracts. So your front pocket starts to feel kind of gross and crampy. Take one more deep breath in. And then as you exhale, slowly release your foot back down and release your elbow back down. So this is the way that we're just gonna familiarize ourselves with that muscle, like really isolate it. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, go again. Lift your left foot, lift your left knee to your right elbow to left knee, connect and press. Take a breath in. Bring your mind to your muscle. And then as you exhale, relax, release your left foot down, release your right elbow down. One more time like that, take an inhale. And then as you exhale, lift again, right elbow, left knee, connect and press. Find your hip flexor, take a deep inhale. Good, now as you exhale, just let your right elbow come back down. Slide your left leg long forward, and then turn your left toes out towards the left. Bend into your left knee, drag it out wide until your left foot comes in line with your right foot. And when it does, replace your left foot down towards the ground, left knee up towards the ceiling. So that's a lot. We'll do it again. Take a breath in. And as you exhale, right elbow, left knee, find the contraction. Stay for the inhale. And then as you exhale, release your right elbow down, release your left leg long. Drag your left knee wide. Let your foot follow your knee. And until your left foot is in line with your right foot, you keep moving. And then once it is, place your left foot down, point your left knee up. We'll do 2 more like that. Take an inhale breath. Exhale, elbow to knee. Right elbow, left knee. Connect and press, breathe in. And as you breathe out, release your right elbow down, stretch your left leg long. Turn your left toes out, left knee out, drag your knee out wide. And place your left foot flat down. Inhaling. As you exhale, 1 more like this. Right elbow, left knee, connect and press, inhale. And as you exhale, let your right elbow come down, left leg goes long, turn your left toes out, drag your left knee out so you feel your inner thigh. Once your left foot's in line with your right foot, place your left foot down towards the ground. Inhale fully. Exhale fully. We're going to switch the direction of the knee, so take a breath in. As you exhale, right elbow, left knee, same elbow, same leg. Stay for the in-breath. As you exhale, let your right elbow come down, stretch your left leg long. Now, there's less room to do it, it's a smaller movement, but left toes turn in, left knee, left thigh rotates in, and then drag your left knee in towards the right, until your left foot is in line with your right foot, and we'll place the left foot down. Got it? Take a breath in. Exhale, right elbow, left knee. We'll just do 3 of these. Stay for the breath in. And as you exhale, let your right elbow come down, slide your left leg long and forward. Turn your left toes in, drag your left knee in, and then slide your left foot towards you until it plants flat to the floor. 1 more time, inhale. And as you exhale, right elbow, left knee, contract your hip flexor. Stay for the inhale. And as you exhale, release your elbow, release your leg long. Turn your toes in, turn your knee in, and drag your foot in until it's in line with your right foot. And place your left foot down to the ground. Let's heel toe the feet wide and wash your knees side to side. So as you inhale, bring your knees back up towards the ceiling. And as you exhale, let your knees wash over towards the right. And as you inhale, come up through center. And as you exhale, wash your knees over to the left. And we'll stay in this sequence a little bit longer with the washing of the knees in just a little bit. But for now, let's switch sides. So set yourself up, feet underneath of your hips. Switch the interlace of your fingertips so the opposite pinky finger is out front as you hold your head into your hands. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, left elbow crosses over towards your right knee. Now find the hollow pocket of your hip crease. Really contract into it. Take a breath in. And then as you exhale, release your left elbow, release your right foot. Again, inhaling. And as you exhale, left elbow, right outer knee, connect, contract. Stay, breathe in. As you breathe out, let your right foot come down, left elbow come down, inhaling. And as you exhale, 1 last time, just like that, just to find your hip flexor, elbow to knee, knee to elbow, contract, connect, press. Good, now as you exhale, let your left elbow come down, let your right leg go long and forward. Turn your right toes out, right knee out, drag it out wide to the right. And until your right foot is in line with your left foot, keep dragging, and then once it is, point your right knee back up, place your right foot down, breathe in. With your exhale, cross left elbow, right knee, find your hip flexor and a little crampy, burny feeling. Stay, breathe in. And as you breathe out, let your left elbow come down, let your right leg go long, and turn your right leg out, right toes out, right knee out. Drag it wide and place your right foot down. 2 more, inhale. Exhale, elbow to knee to elbow, contract. Stay breathing in. As you breathe out, slowly release your left elbow down, stretch your right leg long, turn your right toes out, knee out wide, and we'll place the right foot down to the ground. Last one like that, take an inhale. And as you exhale, left elbow, right knee, cross, connect, find your hip flexor. Stay for the breath in, and with your breath out, release your left elbow down, right leg long, right toes out, drag your knee out, and place your right foot flat down to the floor. Stay for your inhale. As you exhale, connect left elbow to your right knee, breathing in. With your breath out, release your left elbow down, right leg long. Turn your right toes in, right knee in, and then drag your right knee back in towards your left one, and then place your right foot down to the floor. Inhale. And with your exhale breath, the left elbow, right knee, connect and press. Stay breathing in. And as you exhale, you'll release your elbow down, right foot down, right leg long. Turn your right toes in, knee in, and drag your right knee towards your left one until your right foot lands on the floor. Last time, breathe in. And as you exhale, left elbow, right knee. Find your hip flexor, inhale your breath. And as you exhale, let your left elbow come down, right foot down, right leg long. Turn your right toes in, drag your right knee in, and place your right foot down. Okay, and then we'll again wash the knees side to side. So let's go together, feet wide, knees in. Take a deep inhale breath. And as you exhale, wash your knees over towards the left side. Now just stay right here. Turn your eyes to the left. Squeeze your right butt so it presses your right hip closer towards the left. You should feel it up along your right inner thigh, top of thigh by the hip point. And then reach your right arm back behind you so you increase the space between right fingertips to right hip bone. As you take your next breath in, come back through center, point your knees straight up. And then as you exhale, wash your knees over towards the right side, stay. Squeeze your left butt, press your hips towards the right so you feel the top of your left thigh. And then reach your left fingertips back behind you until you feel something from the right fingertips through the armpit, through the hip flexor. And we'll just go like that. So keep your arms wide, point your knees up, take a breath in. And as you breathe out, wash your knees over towards the left, squeeze your right butt, and reach your right arm back behind you. Through center on the inhale. And as you exhale, wash your knees right, engage your left glute, press your hips to the right, and reach your left arm back behind you. One more cycle per side, come through center on the inhale. And as you exhale, wash your knees left, engage right glute, reach right fingertips back behind. Center on the inhale. And as you exhale, slowly wash your knees to the right, engage your left glute, reach your left arm back behind you. Good. Come up through center. Hold your knees into your chest, and you can rock to your side through fetal position to come up onto your hands and your knees, or you can rock and roll up down the length of your spine, and we'll all meet in a tabletop. So take your time to arrive. And stack your shoulders over top of your wrists. Actually, before we get any further, find your blanket, and your blanket is going to be there to support your knee because we'll be on it for just a little bit. I really want to make sure that there's no excess pressure on the patella, on the kneecap. So bring your knees down and bring your hands underneath of your shoulders. And we're gonna step the right foot outside of the right pinky finger. So I find it really helpful to come up onto the fingertips. Step your right foot forward outside of your right pinky. And we're gonna make today 90-degree angles in the legs. And then you can keep your hands down, but often it'll feel like a bit of a reach. So I would come up and bring your hands onto your front thigh for the dragon pose. So in this pose, we're gonna work more with the 90-degree angles because we wanna feel the length coming up the top of your left thigh. There's a concept in anatomy and in body movement called reciprocal inhibition. That means that when the muscle on one side of a bone contracts, the muscle on the other side relaxes. So a really good example is when I flex my bicep, my tricep lengthens. When I flex my tricep, my bicep lengthens. When you flex your glutes, so squeeze your butt, the hip flexors are going to lengthen. So find that here, try to find your bum. It really helps to kind of poke it. There's not a fancy way of saying it, poke your butt, until you feel the length come up along your left thigh. And depending on how much tension you feel and carry along your hip flexors, this is an intense shape. You'll start to feel your body want to compensate by coming forward and out of it, by arching your spine, flaring your ribs. Try to keep all of this very contained so that this area of your hip flexor gets all of the length that it craves. And then even though your front body is really deeply contained here, can you take a full breath in? And a really full breath out. See if you can get your shoulders out of the equation, get your neck, your jaw out of the equation. And as tension releases from one area of the body, it likes to redistribute. So often I'll find this comes up into the neck, into the jaw. So see how soft you can make your face. Here's the part where you consciously find the muscles that are tight along your neck and your traps and your back and your shoulders and ask them to let go. I'll be here for another 3 full breaths. And like I said, you don't need to know exactly where the muscle lives, but can you trace the tension from the upper part of the front of your left thigh bone all the way deep into your belly, deep into the low of your back? Take one more inhale. And soften what you can, exhale. Really good. Bring your hands down. Step your right knee back down. And then we're gonna come sit onto untucked toes, so your knees are elevated by your blanket. Bring your hands back behind you and just lift your chest, air it out. If it feels okay for you without compression into your lower back, you can lift up your hips too and just lengthen. Engage your glutes, soften your shoulders. And come back down. Come on forward onto your hands and your knees. Step your left foot forward outside of your left pinky finger. And back toes can be tucked or untucked, whatever makes you feel most stable. Making 90 degrees in your legs, come on up. So your knee isn't caving in or out. I should have said that on the other side, but make sure that your knee is tracking right down the center of your front foot. Consciously relax your inner left thigh. Bring your hands onto your front thigh. Square your hips so your hip bones shine forward evenly. And then squeeze your right bum again. So there's length, there's an elongation coming down the low of your back. And this is effort to keep your body contained in this way. So even though we're stretching, there's a lot of work happening. Keep the effort in the back of your right leg, so that you can feel the front of your right leg undo. Keep your shoulders and your neck out of it. See if you can find a neutral space. Keep your chest lifted without flaring your ribs. And then once you have the shape, see if you can lengthen your breath. Long, slow, and full. It's okay if there's a little quiver, if there's a little uprising, if there's a little resistance. That's all very, very normal. Same. Good. Stay for 3 more deep breaths in and out. And if the mind wanders, which it likely will, because who wants to be in this moment, see if you can find a neutral space with what you're feeling across the top of your right thigh. If you can simply call yourself back with the qualities of breath. Now we only have 1 more deep breath in. And 1 more full breath out. Soften what you can. And then we'll gently let it go. Bring your hands forward. Find the ground. Step your left knee back. Untucked toes, so your knees are elevated on your blanket. And then lean back, arch your chest, and then maybe lift your hips any amount. Just to wash out through the hip flexors, tops of your thighs, squeeze your bum, and then come on down. So from here, we'll take downward facing dog. Come on forward. Keep your blanket just where it is. So either middle finger forward or pointer finger forward. Spin the eyes of your elbows towards one another, so the insides of your elbows. And walk your knees back. Tuck your toes under. Drop your belly, lift your gaze and eyes. Take a deep breath in. And then take that arch with you into downward facing dog. And press forward and down with your hands. Relax the weight of your skull. And step your right foot outside of your right pinky finger. And it might take a couple steps to get there, and that is perfectly fine. I like to come up onto the fingertips, but if the ground still feels really far away, if you have blocks or a couple of books handy, you can grab them now and bring them underneath of your hands. So this next little bit, we'll get into the hamstrings too, but I want you to think more so about the top of your left thigh as we flow back and forth. So this will be a little bit more dynamic. So stick with me again, there's going to be a few steps. So back toes are curled under, squeeze your inner thighs towards one another, bring your sternum bone forward through your chest, take a full breath in. Then as you exhale, start to shift your hips backwards any amount so that your right leg works more towards straight, but try not to straighten it. I know that sounds counterintuitive, but once you start to feel this sensation up along the inner line of your right leg, just stay there. So there will likely be a bend into your right knee. Find your right big toe mound, so the meaty part under the toe itself, and plug it down to the ground. We'll move between these two on the breath. So as you inhale, re-sink your hips and re-lift your chest, sternum bone forward, shoulders, upper arm bones back. And as you exhale, plug into your right big toe mound and work your hips backwards any amount, just until you feel like a taste up along your right inner thigh. 1 more like this, and then we'll add on. So bend your front knee, sink your hips, lift your heart, big breath in. And then 1 more time like this, shift your hips back and bow in like this crooked splits pose. Keep your right big toe mound down. Now find your left fingertips, bend into your front knee and circle your right arm forwards and up. You can even look at your fingers as they reach up. Take your breath in. As you exhale, shift your hips backwards, reach your right fingertips back forward and down so you land in the crooked splits and bow. Go again like this, bend into your front knee, reach your right arm forward and up, take a full breath in. Exhaling, right arm forward and down, hips back, heart bows. We'll add on, bend your front knee. Now bend your back knee, making sure your knee is on your blanket. Right arm circles up and overhead, squeeze your left heel towards your left bum. And then as you exhale, slowly come back to where you came from. Left toes down, right hand down, bow in. One more like that. Bend your front knee, bend your back knee. So use the back of your left leg to open up through the front of your left leg as you reach your right arm back. Full breath in. Then as you exhale, slowly come back. Right hand down, left toes down, bow in. This time, bend your front knee, bend your back knee, reach your right arm up and overhead. Now, if you can't reach your foot, stay right here. We're using that same reciprocal inhibition as you contract your hamstrings, the quads and the hip flexors are going to release. If you have room to capture your foot, go for it. Bring your hand to the pinky toe side of your back foot, and then press your foot into your hand, press your hand into your foot, and curl your chest forward. Reach your left hip bone forward. Take one more deep inhale. And as you exhale, slowly release your back foot down. Bring your right hand down. And we'll step back into child's pose. So bring your knees wide. Sit your hips back. And bring your forearms to cross. Bring your forehead down onto them. Try not to fidget or shift, just take a moment to feel. Any feedback that's coming through your tissues and your bones. And then gently bring your hands back forward and round forward onto your hands and your knees. Set yourself back up, middle fingers or pointer fingers forward, inner elbows forward towards one another. Rock your knees back. Drop your belly, lift your chest, take a full breath in. And then take that space with you, downward facing dog, hips lift up and back. Step your right foot outside of your left foot, outside of your left pinky finger. And bring your right knee down towards the ground. So again, finding our setup in the lizard lunge. Come up onto your fingertips or hands on blocks. Make sure that your back knee is really comfortable on the blanket. And then find a bit of engagement through your back body, sternum forward through your chest. Take a full breath in. And then with your exhale, keep your left big toe mount down and slowly, any amount, start to stretch your hips back just until you feel a little something to the left inner thigh. And come on forward again, let your hips go heavy, let your heart go light, take a full breath in. And as you exhale, go slow as you shift your hips back and bow in. And one last time, bending into your front knee, getting heavy through your hips, shoulder blades draw towards one another, take a full breath in. And with your exhale, bow yourself into your crooked half splits with your left big toe mount down. And then we'll go ahead and add on. So bend into your front knee, reach your left fingertips forward, up and around as you take a breath in. And as you exhale, slowly start to shift your hips back as you gather your left arm forward and come back to where you came from in your fold. Another, bend your front knee, reach your left arm forward and skyward, take a full breath in. And with your exhale, sweep your left arm forward and down into your bow as you work your front leg straight-ish. Adding, bend your front knee, bend your back knee, squeeze your right hamstring to open your right quad as you reach your left arm up, back, and around. And as you exhale, release your right foot back down, left fingertips down, front leg towards straight. And another, bend front knee, bend back knee, reach your left arm forward, up and around. Take a full breath in. And with your exhale, slowly, sweetly reverse that. Bring your left hand down. And then this is the one where we stay. Bend your front knee and bend your back knee. Reach your left arm up and over. You can stay. It's a lot more work to keep your heel hovering without your hand. But if you have the reach, then you can reach back and around. Capture the roots of your toes from the pinky toe side. Draw your shoulder blades towards one another. Keep your right hamstring engaged, even if you have the foot, so the front of your thigh has more space to open. Take a full breath in. And a full breath out. Good. Slowly, we'll release the foot. Bring your hand back down. And find your way back into child's pose. So left foot comes back, knees go wide, hips sink, forehead down. Let your palms spiral up towards the ceiling and let your shoulders undo. It just held you for quite a while. Then gently crawl your hands towards you and come to sit up onto your shins. Find your blanket. And if you don't have a blanket handy, I hope you did. We were just doing a lot on our knees. But if you don't have a blanket, you can always do this with a rolled up yoga mat. But roll up your blanket, come into a standing position. And from standing, you'll place your heels onto the blanket, just like this. Turn your toes out slightly, and we're gonna come down into a squat. And the purpose for the elevated heels is it takes any stiffness in your ankles out of the equation. So come on down, sink your weight into your heels. Try to find a little bit of a curve into your lower back so your tail isn't curving down like this. There's a little bit of extension. And then place your palms together, thumbs towards the heart, press your skull bone backwards. There's a little bit of musculature for your inner thighs. So inner thighs are pressing to your upper arm bones are pressing back. So that there's no collapse. To stay free of pain or to have more of a say in the conversation of balancing ourselves, we need both strength, integration, and softness, and the ability to relax and open our tissues. A little too much openness can cause hypermobility, which is really unsupportive for our joints, which will cause pain. And too much stiffness will, start to, over time, pull at our bones, and that will cause pain. So we're always on this pursuit of finding balance and evenness. Strength in our softness and softness in our strength. Take one more deep breath in. And let it go. All right. So you can use your blanket, but if you have a bolster, you'll keep your blanket rolled up like a burrito, just like this, and bring it underneath of your sacrum. Otherwise, I'm going to use a bolster, and you can also use pillows or a combination. So we're coming all the way down. So just watch where my hips land as I come and lay onto the prop. So I'll come and sit up onto it first. So my bum's all the way on the bolster, not forward and not back. And closer to the front edge of the bolster. So start to walk yourself down, and as you walk yourself down, you'll even shift yourself further forward. So what I'd like to see is when you're on your back, your tailbone, so think about the sacrum bone and your tailbone at the back of your pelvis being like a triangle or like an arrow, and the arrow is pointing more to where the wall in front of you and the ceiling meet. So the arrow isn't pointing down towards the ground, it's not pointing straight forward, it's angled more upwards. So you get a really sweet flexion into the low of your back, okay? So from here, grab your right knee and draw it up into your chest. And if your shin or knee feels far away, you can hold on to the back of your leg. And give yourself a few moments to come back into those really deep, full belly breaths. Long and slow and full breath in, so that you can almost feel the compression of your belly onto your thigh. And a full, heavy breath out too. And you can stay or start to stretch your left leg long out ahead of you until you feel a really sweet elongation across the top of your left thigh. Let your belly be soft. And let your arms be really soft. So there's no need to pull or tug or over effort across your upper body. Keep your chest and shoulders really soft. Good. So two things are happening as you breathe deeply into your belly now. The belly presses up and compresses the abdominal wall and organs up along your right side. And it helps to facilitate on the left side just a sweeter lengthening from the insertion points to the attachment points of your psoas and hip flexors on the left side. So feel the compression in the belly on the right and feel the length on the left. And then be generous with this next breath in. Take a full inhalation. Really expand front and back. And let your breath go. And gently release your hamstring or your shin, whatever you have, before we switch sides. Place your right foot down and let your right knee fall out towards the right. So now it's like a supine tree pose. Sole of your right foot towards your left inner thigh. Just let your hands fall somewhere that feels comforting. And this is more so for the inner line of your leg, the adductors, tight inner thighs. See if you can consciously relax from your upper inner thigh to your inner knee. So let go of any extra holding that you don't need to be holding. Then go ahead, take a full breath in. And a deep breath out. And we'll stay here for about a minute. If you'd like, you can reach your arms up and overhead and hold for opposite elbow. So this is a really nice, even elongation across your front belly. And what it does is it takes more space between the origin and the attachment of the hip flexors as we elongate the spine. So you might feel a little bit more of a tug into the flexors of your hip. And meet that feeling with your breath with just a few more exchanges, inhaling and exhaling. Okay. So if you have your arms overhead, reach down, hold the outside edge of your right knee, and then help it back up so that all those muscles we just undid don't have to grip that hard. And then draw your left knee up so that the sole of your left foot is on the floor. And keep your right foot on the floor as you draw your left shin or thigh in towards your chest on the left side. You can hold your hamstring or your shin bone. Once you have it, consciously relax your upper body your arms and your shoulders and your chest. And then go ahead and work your front leg, your right leg towards straight, any amount. Just enough so that you feel the length come up the top of your right thigh. Let your leg relax, so if your foot rolls one way or the other, it's fine. And then if you can consciously soften into your left hip crease, consciously soften. Invite your breath back into the pot of your belly, so that now you feel the compression on the left side and the length on the right side. And getting a little softer, a little heavier through your upper body. So feel the difference between pulling your leg towards you and just letting both your leg and your arms go heavy. One is with a lot of effort and one is with allowance. Take one more deep breath in. And then as you exhale, slowly, gently release your left hamstrings or shin. Place your left foot down and then let your left knee fall out towards the left so that the outer edge of your hip is caught by the bolster and your left foot comes more towards your right inner thigh. And you get a little bit of an unwinding through your inner thighs now, letting your hands rest onto your body. Keeping your breath full into your belly. And especially in these still points, the mind starts to get a little bit more influential. We start to wander away with our thoughts, which is totally normal. So kindly just call yourself back so that you're here with your body, here with the release. Just here for about another minute. And you might spend that time scanning your body so that you can feel where it is pressurized, if there's any resistance. You can really sink your teeth into what feels good. Take a full, deep, conscious breath in. And then give back a full, deep sigh breath. And then slide your left hand down, take hold of the outer edge of your left thigh and place the sole of your left foot on the floor, knee points up. And drag your right heel now down towards the ground. You're going to press into your feet just enough to lift your hips, just enough so that you can shimmy your bolster down underneath of your knees. First, let's draw the knees. Use your bolster to help your feet up. Knees in towards your chest. Take hold of your knees and draw them up into opposite armpits. So the squat that we did, this is more of a supine on your back way of taking that pose. And then tuck your chin gently and find a sense of traction. So it's like your lower back is moving forward, your upper back is moving backwards, your mid back is pressing down. Take a breath into this shape. And then let a deep breath go. Now release your knees, let your legs go long so that your knee pits drape over your bolster. Your hands can rest onto your body, or if it feels good for you, let your arms outstretched. Draw your shoulders underneath of you to elevate the heart space. Let's settle with a deep breath in through the nose. And give back a really clear sigh. Now drop any effort of breathing, of doing, of adjusting. And these next few moments are all yours. You take exactly what you need for as long as you need to feel settled, to allow all this work to integrate.